At 2:13 a.m., my phone lit up with a motion alert, and there was the president of our HOA, Brenda Callahan, crouched at my sprinkler control box with a wrench in one hand and a plastic gas can in the other. 48 hours later, her front yard had a taped-off perimeter and a crew in protective gear calling her house uninhabitable. And somehow, she still tried to bill the Homeowners Association nearly $20,000 for it. I moved into Maple Hollow Estates because I was tired of noise, tired of drama, tired of feeling like every week was a new crisis. I wanted quiet sidewalks, trimmed lawns, and a place where my kid could ride her bike without me scanning the street like I was on duty. The neighborhood looked like a postcard. Fresh mulch, identical mailboxes, little flags on holidays, the whole suburban routine. Behind my lot there was this greenbelt, a strip of trees and brush that made the backyard feel private, and also made it a wildlife highway. The first week we unpacked, I learned that the greenbelt came with roommates, skunks, not one, several, the kind that show up like they pay rent. If you've never had skunk spray drift through an open window at 6 p.m., consider yourself blessed. My daughter Lily came inside one night with that look like she was trying not to cry, and her hoodie smelled like the world's worst science experiment. I didn't want traps. I didn't want poison. I didn't want to be the guy in the neighborhood Facebook group getting called animal killer with 12 angry emojis. So I built a simple deterrent motion sensor, low sprayers, a peppermint and capsaicin mix that doesn't hurt anything, just makes the area unpleasant enough for skunks to move along. It wasn't some elaborate booby trap. It was basically, "Hey, please don't live under my deck." And it worked. For months we had peace. Lily started running barefoot again. I stopped waking up at night thinking I smelled something even when I didn't. Then one Saturday morning I hear heels on my driveway, sharp, purposeful, like someone walking into a courtroom. I look up, and there she is. Brenda Callahan, HOA president, mid-50s, perfect bob haircut, sunglasses like a warning label, clipboard held against her chest like it was a badge. "Good morning, Mr. Rivera," she said, smiling without warmth. "I couldn't help but notice you've installed an unusual landscaping addition." I wiped my hands on my jeans and tried to keep it friendly. "It's just a humane deterrent," I said. "We had skunks. This keeps them out." Brenda tilted her head like I'd just confessed to burying a car in my backyard. "Our community has standards," she said. "Any modification that could be perceived from adjacent properties requires prior approval." "Perceived," I repeated. "It's behind shrubs. You can barely see it." She tapped her clipboard twice, tap-tap like punctuation. "Deactivate it," she said, "until the board reviews it. Consider this your verbal notice." I remember thinking, okay, annoying, but whatever. I'll submit paperwork, they'll rubber stamp it, life goes on. 9 days later, I opened my front door and found a violation notice taped to it like I'd been served. 14 days to remove the unauthorized irrigation alteration, $100 per day after that. I emailed the HOA. I attached photos, diagrams, receipts, even a note from a local wildlife control guy saying yes, skunks are common near greenbelts and deterrents are recommended. No response. Just another letter. Then another. And the fines started stacking like someone was feeding quarters into a vending machine that only dispensed stress. Lily asked me one night quiet like she didn't want to make it worse, "Are we going to have to move again?" And that hit me harder than any letter ever could. I went to the next HOA meeting. Fluorescent lights, folding chairs, a table up front with the board sitting behind little name placards like they were about to vote on world peace. Brenda ran it like a courtroom she owned. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. When it was my turn, I laid out everything. What it was, why it was there. Proof it wasn't visible. Proof it was harmless. Brenda leaned back and said, "The board will take it under advisement," which is HOA language for go away and keep paying. On the drive home, I did the math in my head and it got ugly fast. I started thinking in practical terms, the kind nobody wants to admit out loud. How long until they lien the house? How long until this becomes a legal mess? What happens if I lose? And yeah, there was a moment late one night when I stood in the backyard staring at my own sprinkler box and thought maybe I should just rip it out. Maybe I'm the idiot fighting a machine that doesn't get tired. Maybe peace costs more than pride. Then I heard Skunks scratching under the deck again, and Lily's bedroom window was cracked open because she liked the cold air. So I did the one thing that felt sane. I installed a camera pointed at the side yard. Not because I wanted drama, because I could feel something coming and I didn't want my word against Brenda's. 2 nights later at 2:13 a.m., the alert hit my phone. Motion detected. I rolled over half asleep, thumbed the notification, and my brain took a second to catch up to what I was seeing. Brenda, hood up, moving like she'd done it before, crouched at my sprinkler control box. Wrench in her hand, her other hand holding a plastic gas can. And she wasn't just checking something, she was twisting valves, messing with the wiring, leaning in close, like she knew exactly what to break. I sat up so fast I nearly dropped the phone. My first instinct was to storm outside, but then my second instinct kicked in, the calmer, older one that said, "Don't give her the scene she wants." So I watched, I recorded, I backed it up twice. In the morning, I emailed the video to the entire board. Not a rant, not a threat. Just, "This is your president on my property at 2:13 a.m. Please advise how you'd like to proceed." Brenda's response wasn't, "I'm sorry." It wasn't even, "That wasn't me." It was an email with the subject line in all caps, "Cease and desist," telling me to stop disseminating defamatory material and warning me of legal action. Like the video was the problem, not the midnight sabotage. That week, my deterrent system started failing. The sprayers sputtered. The sensors misfired. The skunks came back like they got a welcome packet. One night, Lily walked into the kitchen and said, "Dad, it smells again." She tried to act tough. She's a kid, but her eyes gave her away. Then Friday hit. I'm in my garage when I hear 2 neighbors talking fast, the way people talk when they're pretending not to gossip. I step out and the air is full of that sharp, awful smell, way stronger than what we'd dealt with. It was coming from Brenda's house. There were trucks out front, animal control, a remediation crew, people in protective suits moving like they were handling something hazardous, and suddenly Brenda was everywhere. Emails, posts, phone calls, spinning the story before anyone could ask questions. She called an emergency meeting and stood at the front like a hero in a disaster movie. "This is what happens," she announced, "when residents install illegal systems without HOA approval." And then she actually pointed straight at me. I could feel the room turning, people shifting in their chairs, that uncomfortable, "Maybe he did it" energy. My throat went dry. For a second I thought, this is how she wins. Not with facts, with momentum. Then I remembered my phone. I remembered 2:13 a.m. I stood up and said, "My system worked for months." I paused because the pause matters. It stopped working after someone vandalized it. On camera. Brenda's face didn't change much, but her eyes did. They flicked just for a second, like she was calculating exits. The board secretary, Megan, a quiet woman who'd barely spoken at meetings, looked up sharply. "Do you have the footage with you?" she asked. I walked to the front, plugged my phone into the projector, and there it was, bright on the wall for everyone to see. Brenda in my side yard, hood up, wrench in hand, messing with my control box like she owned it. The room made this collective sound, not a gasp, more like disbelief turning into anger. Someone in the back said, "Oh my God." Another neighbor, an older guy who'd never looked twice at me before, stood up and said, "You need to resign, tonight." Brenda snapped back, voice finally cracking. "That footage is manipulated. This is harassment. Mark has been antagonizing wildlife." Megan cut her off, calm as a judge. "Madam President," she said, "you are out of order." And then the real punch landed. A man near the door stepped forward, flashed a badge, and said, "Brenda Callahan, you've been served." Behind him was a county investigator, and she didn't look impressed by Brenda's clipboard. They started asking questions about trespassing, about property damage, about the sudden attempt to charge the Homeowners Association nearly $20,000 for emergency remediation. Questions Brenda couldn't talk her way around. Brenda tried to stand tall, tried to hold her posture like that would stop consequences. But you could see it, her authority draining out of her in real time, right there in front of the same people she'd been pushing around. The meeting was adjourned on the spot. Not by Brenda, by the board. I didn't say anything dramatic. I didn't have to. I picked up my phone, unplugged the cable, and walked out while Brenda stood frozen at the front of the room, finally realizing that rules only protect you when you follow them. Lesson learned: document everything, because power hates receipts.